Hi, I'm Mr. C, the teacher, and this is my classroom. Over the years, I've created hundreds of lessons in every subject area. So grab your tools for school and join in with us. Or sit back and just watch. And let's go on a learning journey together. Because you're watching Lessons from the Classroom. Well, let's take a look at what the topic for today's episode is going to be about. In this episode, we're going to talk about core competencies. Core competencies are the intellectual, personal, social, and emotional proficiencies that all students need in order to engage in lifelong learning. Students develop their core competencies when they're engaged in the doing. Core competencies continue through a person's life. They start before school, they happen, of course, at school, and later on in life as an adult. Let's look at the 6 core competencies that we learn about in school. Those 6 core competencies consist of communication, thinking, and personal and social interactions. And we can split those 3 groupings into the 6 categories. Here they are here. We've got communication, creative thinking, critical thinking, positive personal and cultural identity, social responsibility, and personal awareness and responsibility. Here at school, we get students to do a self-reflection of themselves and how they act and behave and the words they use in relation to the core competencies. And I teach that through a series of different picture storybooks, some photos that we look at, some little mini videos, and an emoji 3-point scale where they can decide whether they're getting that core competency skill on their own or whether they're starting to get it but need a little bit of help sometimes, or whether really they still work best only with help. You know, I love being surrounded by great books. Because one of my favorite things to do is to read stories. So let's make some time right now and read a storybook. This is story time. The Smart Cookie by Jory John and Pete Oswald. The Smart Cookie. Greetings, I'm a cookie. I live in a bakery on a street corner near a river. Come on in. Welcome to our little community. It's a warm and supportive place to spend some time. Pretty fantastic, eh? These days, life is sweet. But my journey wasn't always a cakewalk. When I was younger, I couldn't have imagined fitting in here. For a long time, I didn't feel comfortable speaking up or sharing my ideas. I didn't feel like a smart cookie. I wanted to be a cookie who knew all the answers, a cookie who felt confident in a group, a cookie who said, "Aha!" when solving a puzzle. Like this. Aha! Looking back, I had some trouble in my early days. I went to school in a gingerbread house. Our teacher, Miss Biscotti, was kind and patient. When I arrived each morning, she'd wave at me and smile. But I didn't get the best grades. And I never raised my hand because I couldn't think of the answers as fast as the others. And I was the last to finish most tests. It wasn't because I didn't care, and it wasn't because I didn't try. Sometimes I'd get distracted and mess up, even though I knew the material. Those were the most frustrating moments of all. Once I misspelled the word dough. That was rough. Another time I added when I meant to subtract. Occasionally, we'd have a lesson where I had absolutely no idea what was happening. I just couldn't keep up. I imagined that my desk was a raft and that I was completely lost at sea, because that's what it felt like. At night, I slept in a cookie jar. I had about 6 dozen roommates. Move. You move. No, you move. No, you move. No, you move. I'd stay awake and stare out the window and worry. And it went this way, day after day after day. But then something happened that changed everything. It all started with a homework assignment. Miss Biscotti requested our attention one afternoon. "Tonight, I would like you to create something completely original," she announced. "It can be anything you want. Please bring it to class tomorrow." That was it. There were no further instructions. Miss Biscotti winked at me as I gathered my belongings. I felt like I had 1,000,000 butterflies in my stomach. Create anything? Something original? Due tomorrow? Gulp. When I got home, I immediately went to work. At first, I tried a cooking project. The results were half-baked. Next, I tried to hammer and nail something. It splintered immediately. Then I tried making a sculpture. It was a complete bust. I wonder if I was about to fail yet another assignment. I was stuck. I stared out the window and watched the rain hit the river. There was something mesmerizing about the water. How it moved in such a chaotic way, swirling around and around, yet ultimately figuring out exactly where it needed to go. Aha! Suddenly, I had an idea. I decided to write something original. A poem! I came up with a title based on how I'd been feeling, My Crummy Days. After that, the rest of it seemed to fall into place. I wrote, and I wrote. I lost track of time. An hour went by in a flash. Aha! I said when I was finished. I couldn't sleep that night, but it wasn't because I was worried. It was because I was excited. I felt like I had really accomplished something. I felt smart. The following day, Miss Biscotti asked for volunteers to share what we'd created. One kid showed off his original frosting art. Another kid revealed her sprinkle distribution machine. It was neat seeing how everyone was good at such different things. Finally, Miss Biscotti turned to me. "Would you like to share anything?" she asked. Gulp, I gulped. I thought I'd probably crumble under the pressure. But I made my way to the front of the classroom. I noticed my hands were shaking. My mouth went dry. This poem is called My Crummy Days, I said, my voice cracking. And then I read it aloud. As I spoke, I noticed some kids nodding at certain lines. Other kids laughed at parts that were supposed to be funny. As I built towards the finale, I felt myself becoming more confident and animated. And in the end, everybody clapped and cheered. I promise you this, I'll never, ever forget it. Miss Biscotti was beaming. "No one but you could have written that poem," she said. "It was completely original." Aha! I had done it. I'd created something and shared it with the world. Well, my world at least. The rest of the day was a blur. By recess, I was already planning my next poem. I would call it My Sweet Morning. Aha! I thought when I came up with the title. Later that afternoon, Miss Biscotti handed me a note. It said that I should keep on writing no matter what. That meant so much to me. School was a bit different after that. I wasn't so scared to raise my hand or ask a question, or share my work. Sure, some things still don't come as easily for me as they do for others. But now I know that you can be smart in many different ways. You don't have to have the answers to every question or suddenly be great at everything all at once. You just need a chance to try all kinds of things, to find out who you are and what you like to do. As for me, I learned that I can write and I can think up great ideas. And I found plenty of other things I'm good at too. I no longer feel lost at sea. It's more like floating down a river. And the best part is, there's always more to learn. Because we're all smart cookies. Aha! Ah! Aha! You know, whenever I read that storybook, it makes me think of one of my core competencies. It makes me think of how I can be a creative thinker. Creative thinkers come up with a lot of ideas. They do not just use or accept other people's ideas. Once they have an idea, creative thinkers will experiment with it. They look at ideas in many different ways and look to see if their ideas can solve a problem they are working on. Creative thinkers keep adding to their ideas and often make new things or come up with new ways of doing things. And it makes me think of how I might try something new that might make my usual way of thinking feel uncomfortable at first. And I actually have that as one of my core competency questions or statements under Creative Thinker. I try something new that might make my usual way of thinking feel uncomfortable at first. And I have to decide, am I somebody who's brave and willing to try new things even if I don't feel comfortable? I am willing to try something new in order to solve a problem or finish a task. How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of any of the people in these pictures? Or am I somebody who really would only do it if I had help? I prefer to do things my usual way, but sometimes I'm willing to try a new idea if I can get help. How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of any of the people in these pictures? Or am I somebody who just refuses to try anything new, too scared to try new things? I only do things the way I want, my usual way. Otherwise, I don't try. How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of any of the people in these pictures?
a note from my dad.
Dear Olivia, I put something new in your lunch today. Enjoy. Love, Dad.
Looks like an avocado. I usually get an apple. Let me look Dad's notes again.
Dear Olivia, try something new.
Okay, I will.
Hey, Olivia, what's wrong? You got something, you got a note here. What does it say? Oh, it says, oh, dear Olivia, I put something new in your lunch today. Enjoy. Love, Dad. Oh, what did Dad give you? I gave you an avocado. Have you had an avocado before?
No.
What do you usually get?
Apple.
Oh, well, I think Dad wants you to try something new, like an avocado. You willing to give it a try? Okay, good for you.
Oh no!
Olivia, what's wrong? What's the matter?
I don't like it. My dad gave me some.
Your dad gave you an avocado? That's okay. Your dad wants you to try that.
No way!
Are you sure you could try it?
No. I already need a red apple.
So you're not willing to try it all?
No.
How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of a character in one of the short videos? Well, if I were to only choose one of these emoji faces, I think I'm a pretty brave person who likes to try new things, even if it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable at first. Maybe I'm a bit scared to try it, or I'm worried that I'm going to get it wrong, I'm feeling anxious. You know, I can take some deep breaths, and I can just try my best to do something new. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I won't, but maybe I will. So I'm going to color that face in. Sort of think of the images that we've seen that show different people and how they might react to trying something new that might normally make them feel uncomfortable because it's different from the way they usually do it. On this page, it says, I try something new that might make my usual way of thinking feel uncomfortable at first. And I've chosen this little emoji face to say that, yeah, you know, I'm usually pretty brave. I'm willing to try something new, even if I'm a bit uncomfortable and anxious and worried about trying it, thinking I might get it wrong. I might fail, but okay, I'll try it. Here I can draw a picture of myself being brave and trying something new, even if it makes you nervous or anxious. Or if I chose the middle face, which says, I'm getting there and I'm beginning to do more and more on my own, well then maybe I might draw a picture of myself getting some help. Or if I choose this emoji face, and I'm just being honest with myself. This answer is just for me. I'm asking myself this, and I'm answering it for myself. Nobody else is judging me. But here, if I chose this emoji face, that kind of represents that I'm just getting started, and I really only learn how to do it best with some help. In other words, I need help all the time when it's something new. I'm not willing to try it on my own. In that case, I might draw a picture of myself giving up because it's just too scary or too difficult. But okay, I chose this face, so I'm going to draw a picture of myself being brave and trying something new. So here I've drawn a picture of myself looking rather worried, but I'm being brave, and I'm going to try out this brand new type of fruit that I've never tried before. It's called ugly fruit. It actually really does exist. They're kind of purple with green sort of spikes and dots on them. And I don't know if I've ever eaten one, but I think they're sort of like a kiwi. I'm not exactly sure. But because it's something new I've never tried, I'm being brave to try something that's brand new. So there I am. There's my picture. that matches my emoji face. It kind of goes along with the book that we've just read. What are your actions and behaviors and attitudes towards trying something new that might make your usual way of thinking feel uncomfortable at first?
More story time with Mr. C.
This is a big, bright feelings book. It's called Ravi's Roar by Tom Percival. Ravi was the youngest and the smallest in his family. Everyone was bigger than him. Ravi, Anil, Jaya, Kiran. Even Biscuit the dog. Most of the time, being the smallest was great. But sometimes, just sometimes, it wasn't. One day, Ravi and his family went on a picnic. There was a race to the train. Guess who came last? Ravi. Everyone else got a comfy seat, but Ravi had to squeeze in with Dad and Biscuit. And Biscuit made a bad smell. When everyone got to the park, they played hide and seek. It was meant to be fun, but Ravi couldn't find anyone. At the playground, the monkey bars were too high. The gaps between the logs were too wide. And when Ravi wanted to go on the big slide, the man said, "Sorry, son, you're too small." Ravi got so mad that his face turned red. But then Dad said, "Come on, let's get ice cream." Everyone ran off. Guess who came last? Ravi. And then, when Ravi went to get his ice cream, there was none left. That really did it. Ravi was furious. He growled, and a stripy tail popped out from the back of his shorts. Then he sprouted 2 furry ears, sharp, pointy teeth, and stripy orange fur. Ravi had turned into a tiger. Tiger took a huge, deep breath and then roared. Ravi's brother looked a bit nervous and handed the tiger his ice cream. When the tiger went to sit down, there were no open benches, so he roared. Everybody got out of the way. It was great being a tiger. Tiger did all the things that Ravi couldn't. He swung across the monkey bars, leaped across the logs. He even slid down the big slide. Nobody dared to say no. So the tiger went wild. He roared and growled and did exactly what he wanted. Roar! But soon he found that nobody wanted to play with him. Suddenly, the tiger felt a bit sad and nowhere near as angry. In fact, he couldn't quite remember what had made him so angry in the first place. "Sorry," said the tiger in a quiet voice. And when he said that, everything felt better. "That's okay," said Dad. "Good job. for saying sorry. Without even realizing, Ravi became a boy once more. It was the last time that Ravi ever turned into a tiger. Although every now and then, he did have a bit of a growl. Well, that was a really neat book. When I read that book, it makes me think of one of my core competencies, the core competency of communication. Communication. People learn and share information through communication. Using different kinds of communication, people can pass along their ideas and feelings. People also communicate without words. Body and face movements show feelings. Good communicators listen carefully, speak or write clearly, and respect different opinions. There should be cooperation and understanding between people, and you should be able to give opinions or ask questions without being judged or made to feel bad. Strong communication skills can help you interact respectfully with others. And it makes me think about a question I would ask myself.
I use my words respectfully when I am upset.
I've made a little emoji chart here. Here we have a big happy face that I would color in yellow if I felt that I could use my words respectfully when I'm upset. We're not talking about when I'm happy and everything's going great, but when I'm frustrated, when I'm upset, when I'm angry. Am I able to use calm, quiet, polite words to talk to the person that I'm upset with? If I can do that quite often, I might color in this face.
Even when I am upset, I find a way to calm down and talk about it with my friends in a way that is safe and respectful.
But when I'm really upset, maybe I do something else, like I shut down and I don't say anything. Or maybe I stomp my feet, cross my arms and pout. Maybe I just walk away from that person. And there's nothing wrong with doing all of those. Those are all feelings and emotions. But maybe I'm not using respectful words. Instead, I'm using body language, and maybe it's not all that respectful. I might color in this face if I do that.
I might get frustrated and upset, but I never use unkind words.
And if I decide to color in this neutral face here, what I'm saying about myself is that when I am upset, when I'm frustrated, when I'm angry, I don't usually calm down right away or storm off. Instead, I feel like I need to yell and shout. Some of my words might not be very kind when I yell and shout. And I find that I do that quite often.
When I am upset, I often feel angry and need to yell. How do you see yourself?
You want to play in the house area? Yeah, sure. You want to play in the house area? Sure. Why would you guys let me out? Sorry, you want to play with us now? Here. You want to play in the house area? Sure. You want to play in the house area, Jesse? Sure. You want to play in the house area? Sure. You want to play in the house area, Jesse? Sure. You left me out! I hate you! You're not my friends anymore!
Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of a character in one of the short videos?
Storybooks or pictures?
If we choose this big smiley face, we're saying, I get it. I can do it on my own. When I'm upset, I know that by myself I can calm myself down, use polite words, speak in a normal, quiet voice with no shouting. I can do that. If we choose this face, it says, I'm getting there. I'm beginning to be able to calm down and use polite words more and more on my own. Or if I can't, at least I'm able to not use disrespectful words. Maybe I just storm away or cross my arms or pout. And if I'm choosing this face, it's saying, I'm just getting started. And I learn best with help. I do need an adult to step in and say, calm down, stop shouting. We need to use polite words. Being angry doesn't make it better if you're saying mean words. Calm down. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no good or bad answer. You're just answering honestly for yourself. Do I use my words respectfully when I'm upset? What do I look like all the time? Just for fun, I'm going to choose a different answer today, and I'm going to say, you know what? If I'm being honest with myself, sometimes I shut down and I won't use my words. Sometimes I might storm off or pout, cross my arms. I don't yell and scream and say mean things, but I'm not quite ready to use words that are kind and respectful. Instead, I stay quiet and storm off, and I could use a little bit of help to help me use some kind words and solve my problem. So I'm going to color in this face. And because I've chosen that face, when I look down here at the options for drawing, it says, draw a picture of yourself using your words respectfully. Well, that would be if I chose that face. Or draw a picture of yourself walking away upset. That fits that one. Or draw a picture of yourself yelling at others. That would be the neutral face. I've chosen this one. So I need to draw a picture of myself here, maybe looking a bit upset. Here I've drawn my picture of me storming away, pouting, being angry, grrr, and I'm walking away from my friends because I'm upset at them. I'm not able yet to be able to just calm down and use some words like, hey, I don't like it when you do, you made me upset, or you made me angry, right? To be able to calmly talk to my friends. At the same time, I'm not shouting and yelling and calling them names, but I am walking away. So that kind of matches this face here.
More story time with Mr. C.
Norman Didn't Do It
Yes, he did.
by Ryan T. Higgins. Norman was a porcupine. Norman's best friend was Mildred. Mildred was a tree. Norman and Mildred did everything together.
Strike one. You're right, Mildred. It is a little yellow-bellied sapsucker. I love playing tree together. Yay, you win.
Norman was happy with the way things were.
Okay, one more chapter, then it's lights out, Mildred.
Norman and Mildred. Mildred and Norman. Just the two of them. Until one day, there was someone else.
And who is that?
It was another tree. Suddenly, it was no longer just Norman and Mildred. Now it was Norman and Mildred.
And the other tree.
This did not sit well with Norman. Norman began to worry. What if the other tree wanted to be friends with Mildred? What if Mildred liked the other tree? What if Mildred liked the other tree more than she liked Norman? Norman kept a careful eye on the other tree. He watched as Mildred and the other tree grew closer and closer and closer.
You're playing tree without me?
Life wasn't the same.
Fine, you win.
Then it happened. The worst thing possible. Mildred and the other tree grew too close together. It was the last straw.
This is the last straw.
Even though, in this case, there were no straws, just branches. Norman could not lose his best friend, not to
The other tree.
Something had to be done. Norman planned and he planned until his plan was just right. Then, under the cover of night, Norman dug up the other tree and took it far away, very far away. Very, very far away. To a place where the other tree would never come between Norman and Mildred ever again. And just like that, the other tree was gone. Norman and Mildred were back together. Just the two of them. But it wasn't the same.
Other tree? What other tree? Oh, that other tree. I don't know what happened to the other tree. I didn't do anything. Maybe it went on vacation. Maybe it moved. How should I know? There, Mildred. You still have me.
Soon Norman started to think about Mildred without her new friend. Norman started to think about the other tree, all alone out there. Norman started to think about himself and what he did. What if someone had seen him?
Let's think. There was the moon. There were the stars. There was the grass and the trees. Oh no, the trees! What if they saw me? What if one tree tells another tree, who tells another tree, who tells another tree, who tells Mildred? What am I going to do? What have I done?
What if digging up your friend's friend in the middle of the night and taking that friend very, very far away was not the right thing to do? What if it was the wrong thing to do?
Stop staring at me, Mildred.
Norman had hit rock bottom.
I have hit rock bottom.
Something had to be done. Norman planned and he planned again. Then he went back to where he had left the other tree to try and undo what he had done.
Yes, you're right, I went a little overboard. But in my defense, you were touching branches.
Norman knew life was going to be different,
Look who's back, Mildred.
and that was okay. He might even like it. Norman and Mildred and the other tree. Just the three of them.
And who is that?
Well, that sure was a fun book. I guess at one point Norman felt excluded, and at another point Norman was trying to exclude his tree's new friend, wasn't he? When I read that book, it makes me think of one of the core competencies, the core competency of critical and reflective thinking.
A critical thinker will ask questions. They will think about things carefully and look at the reasons for them, as well as other possible answers. Critical thinking includes not only problem solving, but being able to think independently, form your own opinions, and trust your own thinking without peer pressure, even when asked to do things you don't want to do.
And it makes me think about asking myself this question. Do I know what it is like to be excluded? Have I experienced being excluded before? Have I excluded others? Here we have a little emoji face chart here where if I fill in this emoji face with my yellow pencil crayon, I might say, hey, I know what it's like to be excluded, and so I try not to exclude others. If I see a friend who's by herself or himself, I'd go over and ask if they want to play. And if a friend wants to play with me, I never say no, right? I always include people.
When I see someone being excluded or all alone, I make an effort and ask them to join me. How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of any of the people in these pictures?
If I choose this emoji face, I might say, sometimes I see a friend who's all by themselves, and I feel sorry for them, and I think maybe I should ask them to play, but I don't. I'm not really excluding them because I'm not saying no, but I'm also noticing that they could use a friend, and yet I'm not going and helping them all the time.
When I see someone being excluded, I feel bad for them, but I don't do anything to help them. How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of any of the people in these pictures?
And if I were to color in this neutral emoji face, then what I would say about myself, if I'm being honest, because only I'm judging myself, is I would say, yeah, maybe I know what it's like to be excluded, and maybe I don't. And in fact, there's lots of times when somebody wants to come and play with me, and I say no, they can't play with me. I'm already playing with another friend. You're not allowed to play with me because I'm playing with this other friend. That's kind of excluding. Somebody might come up to you and say, can I play tag? Well, tag is a game for lots and lots and lots of people, so why would you say no? Right? It's different if it's a game that only involves two people, like a game of checkers, and somebody's asking to play, they need to wait their turn. That's not excluding. But when you're saying to a person no, and you don't have any reason for saying no, that could be excluding to leave them out. And I would choose this face if that were something that I do quite often.
I only include my closest friends. I do not ask others to join in if they are not my friend. How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of any of the people in these pictures?
So think about it. Do you know what it's like to be excluded? Have you been excluded? Do you sometimes exclude other people?
Hey guys, this says Parker, do you want to play? Yeah. Ready to play Captain Rabbit? Yeah. I'm ready to play Captain Rabbit. Yeah, me too. I'm just gonna be the Robert. Oh, no, I'm gonna be a Robert. I'm gonna be a Robert. Okay, come here. I'm ready to play Captain Rabbit. Guys, let's ask Archer if he wants to play. I want more friends.
How do you see yourself? Are your behaviors, actions, and words similar to that of a character in one of the short videos?
I think I'm going to choose this face here, not because it's the right answer or it's a good answer, it's just I'm being honest with myself, and often I see people that look like they could use some help or need a friend or just need somebody to listen and talk to. And so I try not to exclude them. Instead, I try to go over with some empathy, and I try to make sure that they feel welcome. So I'm going to color that face in. Maybe you'll choose this one or this one. You have to be honest with yourself. Now, here on this page, where I'm asking, do I know what it's like to be excluded? I've chosen that face. And by choosing that face, I'm saying that I get it, and I can do it on my own. When I see somebody who looks like they're alone, I, on my own, by myself, can go over and show empathy and ask them if they want to join me. If I'm choosing this face, it's sort of like saying, I'm getting there, I understand it a bit, and I'm beginning to do things more and more on my own. Sometimes when I see somebody that's clearly alone, I ignore it and I walk away. I'm not being mean, I'm just not going over and being helpful. But sometimes I am, sometimes I know to be. And if I'm choosing this face, it's like saying, I'm just getting started, and I still learn best with help. I don't realize sometimes that I'm being mean when I'm excluding somebody and saying, no, you can't join me. Sometimes I need that teacher, that adult, to step in and help me and say, you know what, you're not being very kind. Why would you say no? Why can't they join you? Let them join you, it's more fun. And so sometimes I need that help from that adult to step in. Depending on which face you've chosen, we can do a drawing down here. For this face, I could draw a picture of myself including others in an activity, maybe a game of tag or some other game. If I choose this face, I could draw a picture of me being left out or somebody else being left out. And if I choose this face, well, maybe I could draw a picture of myself purposely excluding someone else from an activity. Maybe the reason is because they're not a close friend. Because they're not my close friend, they can't play with me. So I could show myself maybe with my hand up saying no. Well, I chose this face, so I'm going to draw a picture of myself including somebody else. Here we go. In my picture where I've chosen this, I'm seeing a girl who's sitting here looking kind of sad and lonely. And I've chosen to say, hi, do you want to play with us? And I'm talking about playing with me and my other friend. It's okay to have more than one friend and have more than one person playing with you, right? So I'm seeing somebody knowing that they're feeling excluded, and I'm trying to get them to join in. Well, it looks like we've got a little bit of extra time. And one of the things I enjoy doing the most when I have some spare time, well, is reading a really good storybook. And well, have I ever got a really good book for you today. And today's book is called I Can Cooperate. I can cooperate. Working together to get something done. Sharing the work makes it easy and fun. It's snack time for the class. My friend and I are going to get the milk. It's too heavy for me to carry alone, but together it is easy and fun. working together to get something done. Sharing the work makes it easy and fun. My family is having dinner outside. We have lots to do to get ready for our meal. We each have a job, and soon everything is ready. Working together to get something done, sharing the work makes it easy and fun. These children want to build a castle with blocks. Each child alone can make a small house. They agree to put their blocks together, and now they have a wonderful castle. Whatever the job, big or small, doing it together makes it easier and much more fun. Name some ways you work together with others. You know, when I read this book, I Can Cooperate, it makes me think of one of my core competencies, the core competency of communication. And it makes me ask myself about that statement of, I work well with others. And so I think about that. Do I work well with others? Do I team up and let other people join in and listen to other people's ideas and share my ideas? Or am I the sort of person that just lets somebody else tell me what to do all the time? Or am I the sort of person that sits back and lets everybody else do all the work for me? When I think about that, which emoji face might I color in? One where I'm a good worker with other people, I get along, cooperate, and do my part of the job? A person who lets other people tell me what to do? Or a person who lets everybody else do all the work, sits back and does nothing, doesn't cooperate? I think with my yellow pencil crayon, I'm going to color in this emoji face because I believe, when I ask myself, I believe that I'm pretty cooperative, that I do work well with others. I think what I can do here is maybe draw a picture of myself working well with other people because I chose the big colorful emoji face. I think what I can do here is I can draw a picture of myself working well with others because, well, I chose this emoji face which says, I get it and I can do it on my own without the help of adults and other people. I work cooperatively. I listen to other people's ideas. I share my ideas. I work as a team when I work with my friends and my classmates. So let's see, I think I'll draw a picture of myself working well with other people. There we go. So I've drawn a picture of 3 people, one of them being me, working really well together. I work well with others. Do you work well? Or do you let people tell you what to do? Or do you sit back and let everybody else do all the work? Well, thanks for joining me, and I hope you learned something new and had fun doing the lessons. Join me next time on another episode of Lessons from the Classroom.